For a 4-day weekend, there were going to be a lot of people not here, which is why I'm not going to be moving on to the next type of factoring today. We're going to do a crap ton of practicing with this. The reason we're going to do a lot of practicing with this is because, just allow me a second to show you. See all this grade 11 stuff? Every single thing you see highlighted is something that you need to factor. So, you can quite plainly see that you're going to be using this a lot. So I spend quite a bit of time on it. Now, I asked you to do page 130. There were a couple of tricky things on there, but they were nothing that you didn't already know how to do. For example, let's look at this very first one. Please follow along with me. You can mark your own work or not. What did you not like there? I haven't shown you what to do when there's a 4 at the front, have I? But I have told you that the first thing you're supposed to do is try to GCF, right? 4, 20, and 56 all divide by 4, don't they? So I end up with 4 and then x squared minus 5x minus 14, right? Now you will notice, isn't that the exact same as this? Except with an x. So you already know how to factor that. It's right there. So you end up with 4 and then x plus 2 and x minus 7. That's how you do those. So that should sort you out. If you had trouble with G, H, that is how you would do G and H. Okay? So you look at this, you say, yuck, I don't like that 10, so I'm going to get rid of that 10. Now I have 10, x squared plus 8x plus 12. And then I look at that, and I remember I have to find two numbers that multiply to 12 and add to 8. And those two numbers are, of course, 6 and 2. So it is 10, x plus 2, x plus 6. And then kids always say to me, Mr. Myers, how do I know if I'm right? You check it. Is 6 plus 2 plus 6, 8? Yes. Is 2 times 6, 12? Yes. And you know you've done it right. Now, if you weren't here yesterday, this is going to look like magic. That's okay. All you got to do is remember this. You've just not been there for the explanation. This is what you do. Here, what don't you like? You don't like that negative 4. So you get rid of negative 4 by dividing it out. And that gives you t squared. Now, what happens to that negative when I took the negative out? It becomes positive 4t. And what happened to that positive? It becomes negative 32. And then, of course, I just say to myself, self, what will add to 4 and multiply to negative 32. And it is, because all of you did this work last night, because I told you it was homework. What are the two numbers that multiply to 32 and add to 4? Is it 1 and 32? No. Is it 2 and 16? 2 and 16 will make 4. Is it 4 and 8? How? Negative 4. 8 and negative 4 make 4. So it's negative 4, t minus 4, t plus 8. Everybody good? All right, now the rest of these are all just variations on the same thing. Based on the fact that nobody had anything to say for either F, G, or H, I'm assuming that very little of this was actually done. So I'm just going to go through it very quickly as if it were notes. This is in the wrong order. We don't like it, so we change it to negative d squared minus 5d minus 24. And then we say to ourselves, self, I don't like a negative in the front. So I bring negative 1 out. And I get d squared plus 5d plus 24. And then I want numbers that multiply to 24 and add to 5. Now, this one is tricky, right? Because you think it's going to be 8 and 3, right? But then one of them would have to be negative. Yeah? So if you go back to here, and if you try 8 and 3 in here, it won't work, will it? Because there's no negative. 8 and 3 won't make 5. So you say to yourself, ugh, yuck, I don't know about this. Let's check back up here. Because most of you will have moved the D forward because that's what you wanted to do. Now if you go back up here, and you say to yourself, okay, well, if I'm up there, could it be negative 8 and 3? Because negative 8 plus 3 would be negative 5, right? So let's see if that works. Negative 8 plus D and 5, it would have to be minus D, wouldn't it? To get a negative D squared? Well, let's check. Negative 8 times 5, times 3. Negative 8 times 3 is negative 24. We're okay there, right? Negative 8D times negative 8 times negative D is positive 8D plus 3. Oh, it didn't work. All right, well, what would happen then if it was 8 minus D and plus D? Let's try that. Negative 8 times 3 is negative 24. Negative 8D minus 3D. Negative 8 minus 3 is 11, isn't it? So this one is one of those ones that looks very suspicious. It looks like you should be able to factor it. But can we? No, except to take out a negative 1. And I know that negatives are not greatest common factors, are they? But we don't like a negative with the quadratic term, that's called. Now let's come to this one. If, because I assume it probably wasn't done, what don't you like about that? V squared, first thing squared. Second one has a V, is that okay? We don't like this B, do we? If it was that, we could do it, right? And if it was that, we would want numbers that multiplied to what? Negative 20. And added to what? Positive 19. Is it 1 and 20? Yes. 20 times negative 1 will get me negative 20. And 20 minus 1 will get me 19, right? So it has to be V plus 20 and V minus 1, correct? But there's a B there. Well, if V times V gets me V squared, what must I have here? A B. And we wouldn't write 1B, we'd just write B. B times B gets me my B squared. Everybody cool? This one is the first one where kids, I don't know how to do that one. But you do, because you know how to make V squared, so you know how to make B squared. What about this one? Again, if those weren't there, you can do it in your sleep, right? So, I need to multiply to what? I need to multiply to negative 28 and add to 12. What are they? 14 and negative 2, because 14 minus 2 is 12. So it's x plus 14y and x minus 2y. What's weird here? B is cubed. I don't know what to do with a cube, but what do I notice? B, B, B. Is there something common? And the first thing we're supposed to do is get rid of anything common, right? So B comes out to the front. And now I've got a squared minus ab minus 20b squared. Which means I need to multiply to what? Negative 20 and add to what? Negative 1. Is it 1 and 20? 1 and 20 will add to 1? Is it 2 and 10? Is it 4 and 5? Yes. How will 4 and 5 make negative 1? Which one has to be negative to get it to negative 1? 5. So that's B, A minus 5B, and A plus 4B. Everybody cool? Now, what's weird in M? It's x to the 4th, right? Now, you're intelligent young people. When it was x squared, it was x and x, correct? So what must it be now? X squared and x squared. Do you think anything else changes? Nope. I got to multiply to what? Multiply to 50 and add to negative 15. What is it? Negative 10 and negative 5. Negative 10, negative 5. And I'm done. What's weird here? Which we normally wouldn't write, correct? So I'm doing this for a reason. I got to multiply to negative 9 and add to 0. It's negative 3 and positive 3. So it's x minus 3, x plus 3. Now, highlight that. It's going to come back. Now, the thing I want you to notice there, what do you notice about 9, 3, and 3? Perfect square. Look at this one. Is that a perfect square? So we know it's x and x. Is that a perfect square? What is it? 25. So what do you think goes here and here without even looking at it? Plus 25 and minus 25, just like up there. And lastly, this one's a little weirder. What do you notice there and there? 16 and x squared again, right? Okay, so I got to multiply to 16 and add to 8. What is it? 4 and 4. X plus 4 and x plus 4. Please notice, perfect square, x, x. Perfect square, 4, 4. But because they're adding this time, I got to keep them in there. It didn't disappear like it did up here. Everybody cool? All right. Do some practice. Page 131 in class right now. Go. This mixes both kinds of factoring that we have done. It mixes GCF and what we just did. Does anybody need to quickly be reminded of GCF factoring that we did 2 days ago? All right. GCF factoring is always the same thing. Step 1, get a GCF. Step 2, divide by GCF. Step 3, answer GCF bracket, then every answer from step 2. To remind you how to do that, 3x squared y plus 9xy squared minus 12xy cubed. What is the step 1? Find the GCF. What is it? 3 and x, y. So the GCF equals 3xy. Y, 3, 3, 3. 2 x's, 1x, 1x. So 1x. 1y, 2 y's, 3 y's. So 1y. Step 1, get my GCF. Got it. Step 2, divide by my GCF. Step 3, write an answer. GCF first, 3xy, and then all of these answers. 3 divided by 3 is 1. X squared divided by x is x. Y over y is 1, so I have an x there. Plus 9 divided by 3 is 3. X divided by x is 1. Y squared divided by y is y. Minus 12 divided by 3 is 4. X divided by x is gone. Y squared divided by y. Y cubed divided by y is y squared. And it's done. That's GCF. Now remember, sometimes you'll have questions like number or letter F here. Will you do a GCF first? And then you've got to factor again. Watch out for that. Okay? If there's a number in front, then you got to do GCF. Right now. Everybody good? Go. Do your best with this. At 2 minutes a question, you're looking at 20 minutes of work here. Because some of them should only take about 10 seconds, right? What's coming out of the first one? A. And what's inside the brackets? Done. What's coming out of the second one? 9. What stayed in the brackets? Plus 3. Oh, look at how smart you guys are. What's coming out of 3? 5x cubed. And what's staying in there? 2 minus 5xy. Now, I just saw some erasing happening there. Why is it x cubed? Because this guy had 3 to give. This guy had 4 to give. So I take out the maximum amount I can get. What about number 4? 3x, and what stayed in there?
9x squared minus 16.
Now, see that? Highlight it. We're coming back to that later. Some of you may already notice why. What do I got to multiply 2 and 5? 64. What do I got to add to? 20. Is it 1 and 64? Is it 2 and 32? Is it 4 and 16? Yes. X plus 4. X plus 16. Is this okay? Of course it is. What's wrong with 6 that made you have to look at it twice? The 9x in the wrong spot. Notice the x has to be in the middle for this trick to work. So we rewrite it. Is that okay? Do I still have an x squared, a negative 9x, and a positive 20? Yes, I do. So now I can do this. I multiply to 20, and I add to negative 9. What is it? Minus 5, minus 4. Brilliant! What's 7? 8. X, not x squared, you idiot. X plus 8, x minus 8. Number 8 was the one I was talking to Helia about. When it was x squared, it was x and x. When it was x to the 4th, it was x squared and x squared. Well, now it's x to the 6th, so what is it? X cubed and x cubed. What if it was x to the 8th? What would it be? 4 and 4. What if it was x to the 10th? What if it was x to the 12th? What if it was x to the 13th? You couldn't do it unless you were GCFing out 1x. Everybody understand? So if this was x to the 7th plus 0x minus 144x, and I brought out an x, then I could do it. And what is it? Plus 12 minus 12. Multiply to 18. Add to negative 11. What is it? X minus 2, x minus 9. What's coming out of here? 2, leaving in x squared plus 14x plus 13, which means I got to multiply to 13 and add to 14. These ones always screw kids up because you always forget the first ones. It's 1 and 13. X plus 1, x plus 13. What's weird here? It's an x squared situation, right? Because that's x to the 4th. So I still got to multiply to negative 10 and add to 3. What is it? Yeah, it's 5 and minus 2. So it's x squared plus 5, x squared minus 2. Now, would this be okay?
Yeah.
That would be okay, right? Okay, would this one be okay? That's okay, that's okay. Is this? No.
Just ignore me, Mr. Myers.
Why would I ever do that? You're one of my favorite people in the whole world.
I love you too, Mr.
Oh,
Myers.
I'm appalled that you would even suggest that
Well,
I
a
would
happy
ignore you.
Easter.
Thank you. Hurtful. What bothers us here? Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Helly. I didn't hear you ask. Why is this one not okay? Because if I FOIL this, I'm going to get x to the 4th, right? Plus 2x, right? Minus 5x, right? Well, 2 minus 5 isn't positive 3. What is it? 2 minus 5 is negative 3. Everybody understands? When you've got two different signs, it matters which number goes where. The whole thing, the whole term can switch, but the numbers have, that's why I write it out this way, 5 minus 2. So when I write it out, I make the 5 positive and the 2 negative. Everybody understand? Okay. What's weird about 12? Just the b, right? So if that b wasn't there, we know what to do, yeah? And then we just add a b at the end. What do I have to multiply to? I have to multiply to 36. And I have to add to negative 12. What is it? Negative 6 and negative 6. So it's a minus 6, what? B. And then a minus 6b. Now, are those the exact same? Is there a shorter way I could write this? A minus 6b squared. Everybody cool? I don't care which way you write it. Good? Easy peasy lemon squeezy, yeah? Now, is there anybody in the room that can look me in the eye and say you got all 12 of them right first try? Couple of you? Good. You should be getting there. 132 is your homework for your 4-day weekend. Just page 132. I don't know. You got 15 minutes to do that page. That's your only homework for a 4-day weekend. Oh, I'm the nicest guy in the world.
What do you mean expand?
What do you mean, what do I mean? You've already done that. You've got notes on expand. Expand means you expand it. X plus 3 squared expands to x plus 3 times x plus 3. And then you do the math. Now, ladies and gentlemen, can you forget all your other math rules? No. If there's like terms to collect, you collect them. Right? If there's exponents to be dealt with, you deal with them. You cannot forget all your other math.